Hello, Beyond the Gates fans. It is June 12th, 2025. Here to live stream some of my thoughts on the last two episodes. I did not get a chance to talk about yesterday's Wednesday episode. I was busy, but also it wasn't the most compelling episode. Not a whole lot of important stuff went down. Today was a lot better, though. I will start with a little bit from yesterday, though. The biggest thing yesterday was Leslie going to Eva after Jacob returned to her apartment to look around the house after Kat tipped him off to do so because she planted the evidence in Leslie's apartment, or back into Leslie's apartment. And so Leslie had to go to Eva and complain about that, thinking Eva was the one that did this to her. And there was just a lot more emotional manipulation on Leslie's part where Eva was concerned. We also learned that even though Kat has gone to these extremes to try and have Leslie have a downfall, Jacob is still struggling at the police force to actually get warrants to do his job to take Leslie down. Now, in today's episodes, more of the same from Kat. The big thing to talk about is, and I have to give credit, I don't remember who in the comments said this like a month or two ago, but they are clearly setting it up for the big reveal that Eva is not Leslie's daughter, that somehow Kat will end up being Leslie's daughter. I am very much thinking this is the way that the story is going to go. And we see it now that Kat is the one always trying to manipulate the situation now. She is the one scheming, always scheming. And they're always like in separate episodes, they're calling each other a bitch in separate episodes. We've gotten a lot more Kat and Leslie scenes than Kat and Eva. I know we got little scenes with them again today. We finally had a little bit of their rivalry becoming renewed. But I think they put Kat strongly in Leslie's orbit to really make this happen. Even Jacob in today's episode said that Kat is all that she's doing lately. She's seeming a lot like Leslie. So they're dropping these hints, and I fully do expect that this is the turn the story will take at some point, and I look forward to it. Maybe that's why they've made Kat so insufferable lately, because she's going to have quite the smack of reality that her uppity elitist self is not actually the Dupree, the Richardson. Well, she would still be a Richardson, I guess, because of Ted, but not a Dupree. She won't be able to continue to be her elitist self. So if the story does go that direction, it will be good. So I'm just trying to drudge through this stupid investigation storyline that I'm not enjoying. I will say today, I complained about Marcel completely disappearing from Jacob's orbit, and we did get Marcel back today. It was only a couple scenes though, and I still feel like that my problem with the story and why I have been struggling to get through this investigation story, and I said this, I believe, on Monday, is that it's just so plot driven. And so all of the setup that we had with Marcel and Jacob, that they're supposed to be partners, but Marcel hasn't been in this story whatsoever until today. I still feel like it's very plot driven, even today, with Marcel finally making an appearance, because it didn't seem like the same Marcel and Jacob relationship. So clearly not character driven, clearly plot driven. But at least Marcel is not completely written out. I thought they completely dropped that story. And in fact, they did bring him, or they seems like they're going to bring him into Martin and Smitty's story, because Martin does not want Smitty to be doing a write-up that Marcel would be in. And I'm not going to get too much into Martin's story today. It actually didn't make a lot of sense to me, which I'll get to in a second. But I'm assuming that Marcel was the police officer on duty when whatever Martin did that he keeps having nightmares about happened. So at least we'll learn more about Marcel, I guess. Not that I'm this big Marcel fan. I just didn't want them to completely drop the dirty cop story in the first place, like I thought they did. As for Martin today and his nightmares, I'm confused because he went to Nicole finally. He went to his mother to talk about his nightmares. But in doing so, I felt as though he was saying that he didn't know why these nightmares were happening. But we've had past scenes with people, like Bill in particular, that Martin clearly seems to know what he did. So I don't know why today he was acting like he doesn't know what these dreams are about. So I don't know if that's in continuity from the writers, but it was definitely confusing today. I don't know if we're supposed to be confused if Martin really knows what he did or not, but there's definitely been past episodes where it was pretty clear that Martin did know what he did. So I didn't love that problem with the continuity. I hope this is a step for the secret to come out though, because I don't want it to be dragged out this entire year. It's not unless it's like super juicy. I don't know why we're still gonna be dragging it out this summer because especially if you're losing the continuity in the story, that's a problem. That means you might be dragging it out a little too much if that's starting to happen. Speaking of Nicole, though, going back to yesterday's episode, I did like Danny in her own way, trying to help Nicole with her anger over the situation with Ted and all of that. Because Ted, first of all, Ted should be doing a lot more than he's doing in trying to win Nicole back. He does a lot of talking about wanting Nicole back, but we don't see him doing enough. And that's just the problem with new Ted altogether. They write him way less aggressive than excuse me, way less aggressive than they did old Ted. And if they changed Ted for the direction to be the nice guy that would try and win Nicole back, he actually has to try and win Nicole back in the first place. But it was good to see Danny get Nicole to finally let her anger out yesterday. And then today, it was good to see Ted listen to Eva about, Eva always liked doing hair before, but now after being Nicole's assistant, she feels like that's the kind of life that she wants. And so Ted will be hiring Eva as his office manager with the other doctor, Carlton, who returned today. Carlton being the man that found Eva locked in the closet way back at the anniversary party. And I was saying this back then, and I'll say it again today. I hope that he becomes Eva's new love interest. Anyone other than Tomas for Eva. Eva deserves better than damn boring ass Tomas, who already rejected her this past week anyway. So, I mean, I get that he's older than Eva, but I think the chemistry is already there in the two scenes they've had together in the past month and a half than Eva and Tomas. And I've seen some chatter online that maybe Carlton should be a new love interest for Nicole, a little Nicole, Ted, Carlton love triangle. I don't even know if they have big plans for Carlton at all, but I want Carlton for Eva because I cannot do this chemistryless Tomas, Eva, cat triangle for several more months because it's same thing with Andre, Ashley, Derek for me personally. There's no chemistry in that triangle. There's no chemistry in either triangle. So Carlton for Eva, that's what I want. Yeah. Also going back to yesterday's episode, because I've talked about everything I want to talk about today, I guess I could go back and say that Kat did use Mona to manipulate Leslie today, much like, what we think or what I think or what whoever left in the comments 2 months ago thought that Leslie might end up being Kat's mom. Kat manipulated Leslie with Mona today. Mona acted like she was going to forgive her so that she can get some DNA of Leslie's from Leslie's lipstick. So Kat could give that to Jacob. Whatever. And also Ashley and Derek were on today, but does anyone care? I don't. They're still fast forward material for me. Their relationship is like, I don't know if there's ever been, there has, but I don't know if I could think off the top of my head right now a couple that was just this boring and filler on a soap opera. It's just such filler every time they're on. It's a waste of time. It's a waste of screen time. Yesterday, though, the highlight was actually Shanice, as I said 2 episodes ago. Seeing Shanice with Bill was entertaining. And the more I see of Shanice, the more I want her to become a more layered character. This show does such a great job of having these side characters. Even Carlton today, we talk about Shanice. Some people like Mona. I don't care about her because she's such a kiss ass to the Duprees. But all these side characters, and then you have people like Ashley and Derek on contract. Why? When Shanice would be far more interesting to watch than Ashley and Derek. And even Doug's not on contract, which is crazy to me because he actually gets a lot of screen time in the first place. But yeah, something I want going forward is some of these side characters to come more to the forefront so that some of these characters that do get shoved in our faces and suck can maybe have less screen time. I don't know if we'll get that, but the show, anytime I have a complaint, I will say that, a few episodes later, they do tend to address it. I complained about Marcel just completely disappearing, and he was back today. So it's progress. Some interesting stuff could happen in the future if Kat really does end up being Leslie's daughter instead of Eva, and Eva then would be Nicole's daughter. And it does make sense because Eva has that conscience that Nicole has, and Kat has all of these scheming, manipulating characteristics that Leslie has. And she was even called out on that today by Jacob. So interesting stuff indeed. And I guess the last thing I'll say is, once again, please have some new love interests for both Eva and Kat. Right now, Kat's on my nerves, so she does deserve Boring Tomas. I think Boring Tomas should take her virginity because she's on my last nerve. But after that, she does deserve a better love interest as well. So yeah, put Carlton with Eva.